going to teach you how to properly read the amount of sugar on a food label. And you're thinking, what? Doesn't it have sugar labeled on the food label? It does. However, these labels were designed to deceive you on purpose. Hey there, and welcome to Becoming Natural. This is your host, Victoria Ray, a certified transformational nutrition coach and expert in the areas of mental wellness and nutrition. This podcast is to provide you with the tools and knowledge that you need to live a healthy and natural life in a world where so many things are contaminated with man-made chemicals and stuff that we would never encounter out in nature on our own without the help of these food scientists and labs and all this crazy stuff that's come about in the last maybe like 30, maybe like 40 years, but really in the last 30 years, it's become a big deal. And we have seen a huge increase in the waistline of all of us in these past, it's really been in the past 20 that it's taken a huge step in the wrong direction. So that is what I'm here for, to help you not be that, to kind of take a step back in the right direction for your health. And today what we're going to go over is something that is a question I really get a lot, and something that I used to wonder myself a lot, which is, what the fuck do I buy in the store? Do I buy the premium food that says it's healthy, or do I just, buy this head of lettuce over here? It's so confusing, and seriously, it can be super overwhelming. When I first started studying nutrition and learning about food additives and all the super scary stuff that happens in the food processing plants, I would take hours in the store looking at each ingredient, looking at these labels, and I was just exhausting myself by the time I left there. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to cook. And I wasn't even hungry anymore, which is crazy for me because I love food. I think about food all the time, which is one of the reasons that I do what I do, because I love food so much. So yeah, that wasn't a fun thing for me to leave there. When I say hours, you guys, I'm not exaggerating. I would pick up every single thing and I'd be like, is this safe for me to eat? I'd look at it and I'd be like, I don't know what this is. And so then I'd Google it, and it just, it became mentally, emotionally exhausting. So what I want to give you guys today are some really simple tips and tricks that you can use in the store so you can make sure that you're buying the healthiest options without spending literally hours researching and absolutely losing your mind. All right, so let's start with wording on packages. So these companies pay a lot of money to designers and marketers to make their products look super appealing. And we usually associate green with health, green and white usually, and they know this, so they will health wash the crap out of their products because they know that we're gonna buy it based on the packaging without actually looking at what's inside. Because we do that. We look at something and we're like, this is pretty, I want this. It's just what humans do. We like pretty things. So if your package looks nice, your package looks healthy, it says healthy on it, okay, I'm going to trust you, because we also kind of have this automatic trust towards food and things that we're buying from reputable stores. But you guys are super smart, and you know better than that, and you're here with me, and I got you. So let's go over some things to be on the lookout for. The first thing you want to look at is if it says all natural or 100% natural, or even just the word natural. There's no regulation on this, and any company can use it as long as there's no artificial colors or additives. They can still have preservatives and unnecessary ingredients. So just because it says natural literally just means no artificial colors and there wasn't any artificial additives. It can still be total crap. fortified and enriched. Okay, so this is a big one. When we look at this, so like especially on cereal, it'll be like fortified with vitamins and minerals and enriched grains with blah, 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 blah. This literally means that this item was so processed, that they processed the ever-loving crap out of it. So much so that they had to go back and put vitamins and minerals and stuff back inside of it because it had no nutritional value. That's what this means. Fortified and enriched are not a good thing. It's very, very bad. It means that this has like been extremely processed. And then the stuff that they're fortifying and enriching it with are usually, almost always, artificial vitamins, artificial minerals, and those are not good for us. They are not bioidentical. They can actually be harmful to our bodies, and we really just kind of want to stay away from everything that says fortified or enriched. Another thing is multigrain. Multigrain doesn't mean healthy. It just means it's made with multigrains, with several grains, more than one. They can still be refined. They can still be heavily processed. They can still have canola oil in them. They can still have preservatives. Like this whole push for multigrain bread doesn't really, I think it was a bad thing because now people are like, have associated multigrain with health. And it's actually quite the opposite. A lot of these grains are inflammatory. They're causing lots of like gut inflammation, and that just makes us bloated and causes all other kinds of health problems. So if you do have a gluten sensitivity or a sensitivity to grains, my suggestion is to either buy a bread that is not made from grain or get a sprouted grain bread, which is where they have let the grains sprout. And these are actually really good for you. They've got lots of vitamins, minerals, and they don't have to be fortified and enriched. So, yeah, multigrain. Made with olive oil. Okay, I saw this on some crackers the other day. And it said, man, I can't remember what kind of crackers they were, but on the front it was like olive oil. So I picked them up, knowing what I was gonna see, but I picked them up anyways, flipped it over, and the second ingredient was canola oil. And then way down at the bottom, like second to last ingredient was olive oil. So that's so deceiving. Just because they add olive oil doesn't mean the product isn't full of other harmful ingredients. So really make sure you're reading the label on these. Check for soybean oil, check for canola oil, vegetable oil, or any added chemicals, and just put those back if they have any of those. No added sugar or sugar-free. Okay, so these products use fake sugars in place of sugar. Your body processes these fake sugars exactly like it does real sugar, and these fake sugars are harmful to your body. We really should avoid them, especially sucralose. It's very damaging to our microbiome. And we have lots of good bacteria that live in there that create serotonin for us. They do all other kinds of things that are essential for us to be happy and healthy and do all the human things that we like to do. So when we feed these bacteria in our gut lots of sugar or this fake sugar, we are killing them and we're feeding the bad bacteria. And these bad bacteria are what is going to cause us to have anxiety, to have depression, to become obese. And these little guys, they will literally make you crave sugar. That's what like when you get a craving for something, it's not you. It's literally not you. It's the bacteria in your gut. They're literally controlling your brain. Like, it's kind of crazy and kind of like you've got brain parasites, but you have like gut parasites that just tell your brain to feed you things. So you want to make sure you're feeding the good guys and not the bad guys, because those bad guys will make you eat bad food. So yeah, be careful of no added sugar and sugar-free. These aren't necessarily better products unless when they say no added sugar, they mean that they've used a real sugar like monk fruit or coconut sugar and they have not added anything else. So do look at that. Again, like I said, flip it over, just check the ingredients really quick. Super, super simple. Fat-free and low fat. These products usually contain high amounts of sugar because they've taken the fat out of it, and they're often highly processed. Eating low-fat foods is actually harmful to our health. So your body needs fat, and this whole, war on fat that started in the 80s, I just want you guys to think about something really quick. We've been having this stop eating saturated fat and eat unsaturated fat things going on for the past, since the 80s, and what has happened to the general population? We've gotten fatter because fat doesn't make you fat. We're just eating the wrong kinds of fat. Nature does not make bad fats. We do. Fats from butter, fats from dairy, fats from fruits. Those are all going to be good fats for you. The stuff that you don't want is these polyunsaturated fatty acids that are coming from canola oil, vegetable oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, things that shouldn't be used to make oil. You shouldn't have to put something through a chemical wash 50 times in order to get oil out of it. Just use real oil. Just use animal fat, So be careful with fat-free products. Again, fat is good for you. It's good for your brain. All your cells need it. Okay, another one that I actually have an entire episode dedicated to is protein. So if something says high in protein on it, be very cautious. They're usually added proteins that were very highly processed and from not good sources. They really like to do this with literally making junk food and being like, oh, we added protein to it. You should buy it because it's healthy. And that's unfortunately not the case. Just because it has added protein does not mean that there's not inflammatory oils, tons of sugar, and other things that we want to avoid in there. So these companies use these wordings, to get you to buy an unhealthy product and think that it's healthy. They're taking advantage of your trust in them, which is very sad and unfortunate. So here's some questions just to keep in mind when you're choosing packaged products. The first thing that I always like to ask myself is, what is this product made from? So that's when I flip it over, look at the back. If it's got a ton of sugar in it, if it's got inflammatory oils, and if it has preservatives in it, I put it back. I don't even bother to look up what the preservatives are anymore or anything like that, because 99% of the time they are going to be harmful. So easy thing to do right there. Flip it over, look at the ingredients. If it's got a crazy long ingredient list, just put it back. Go find something else. There's literally better products for everything out there. The second thing I like to ask myself is, did these ingredients come from nature? Or were they made in a lab? Third thing I like to ask is this going to benefit my body from me eating this? So yeah, I can walk down that middle aisle in the store and look at those Twinkies or, those little chocolate muffin cakes or whatever I used to think were super good. But when you stop eating stuff like that and then you try it after a while, you're like, oh God, this tastes terrible. Is my body going to benefit from eating that? Absolutely not. Am I going to harm myself from eating that? Yes. And I don't mean immediately, I'm going to get cancer from eating one little packaged cupcake. However, I am ingesting a lot of chemicals and, over time, that does do damage to your body. And also, you might feel super sick if you eat one. I know that I do. I don't even eat junk food, you guys, because I will be dying for days if I do. I had an MRE, so it's been a long time since I've had an MRE. I don't think I ate one since basic training. And then my friend had some and was like, hey, you want some of these old MREs? And I was like, sure. And like I said, this was several years ago, before I got into nutrition or anything. Well, I forgot how they made me feel. I ate it, and if you guys have ever seen the ingredient list, on an MRE package, oh my God, it's bad. I think those things are good for like 100 years. Like I'm sure they have expiration dates on them, but honestly, I don't know that they do expire just because of the amount of preservatives and sodium and everything in them. But yeah, I ate it, and 2 days later, not that I started feeling bad 2 days later, but I continued to feel bad 2 days later. Like my stomach hurt so bad. I was having like abdominal pain. Like I was not in a good way. So yeah, I avoid junk food and I avoid MREs because they're also really disgusting. They don't taste good. All right, so this is going to take us into the main food section and what we do want to look for when we're looking for food. So I just told you guys all the things to be on the lookout, what you don't want. Now these are the things that we do want. So we'll start out with milk or dairy. And I know a lot of people have a huge issue with milk and like lactose. I personally have a lactose issue, and if I do eat a lot of lactose, I will have like stabbing pains in my abdomen. It's crazy. Like, some people have other terrible things that happen to them, but I literally get like stabbing, like dying. So I'm really careful with the type of milk that I choose. I eat a lot of yogurt, which tends to have a lower lactose content, and so that doesn't ever bother me. Butter doesn't bother me. Ice cream bothers me a lot. Gelato really, really bothers me. Cream I have to be careful with, but man, I love to put cream in my tea. Super, super good. I like to make this like orange spice tea and then add cream to it. Oh gosh, it's so good. But I have to be very careful or I'm going to be laying on my couch crying for the next like 4 hours. But if you are one of these people that has problems with this, there's some really great milk alternatives out there that don't contain fillers or gums. So just, when you're buying a milk alternative product, do make sure that you're looking at the label. It should just be, so if you're getting coconut milk, it should say coconut milk and maybe water and maybe like, vanilla if you want vanilla flavor. And if you're having a hard time finding coconut milk that doesn't have gums or fillers in it, literally all you have to do is get a can of coconut milk, 1 can, mix it with 4 cups of water in a blender, blend it all up, there you go. That's it. Super, super, super simple. But if you are buying milk, organic milk is going to be your best option. Yes, I do understand that it is more expensive, but these cows that it's coming from are not treated with RBST, which is a growth hormone, which is a contributor to hormone disruption in adolescents and adults. So we really want to avoid that and pick organic milk. Butter, grass-fed butter is going to be your best option. We want to avoid margarine or butter alternatives because these are full of chemicals and harmful oils. And again, grass-fed butter is a little bit more expensive, maybe like a couple dollars. It's not absolutely insane. And if you don't want to use butter, like if you have a sensitivity to butter, ghee is a good alternative. It does not have, it's lactose friendly, or lactose intolerant friendly, which is something that I like to use a lot. It's clarified butter and it has a lot of good health benefits. So if you're going to buy that, make sure that's grass-fed as well. And it tends to, I don't know if it's a little cheaper than butter. It might be a little more expensive. I don't know. But I really, really like that for cooking. Yogurt. Again, organic yogurt is going to be your best option here. And when you buy yogurt, buy plain yogurt. Don't buy the yogurt that's got added fruit, added flavors, and added sweeteners. Because when you do this, you are basically buying yogurt with sugar. Like, it's crazy how much sugar that they put on there. So one of the yogurts I really like to buy is Stonyfield organic yogurt, the plain yogurt. It's great. It's, the ingredients are awesome. It's an organic yogurt, but they also make a low-fat vanilla version. These two products could not be more different. The low-fat vanilla version has so much freaking sugar in it and like 4 added other ingredients from the exact same company. And that's just, not healthy for you to be eating sugar like that. So plain yogurt's going to be your best option. If you want fruit in it, if you want sweeteners, dude, just put that in there yourself. And it's kind of fun. You can make it like a little parfait. You can like add some granola in there, add honey in it, blueberries, cocoa powder, and make yourself a chocolate yogurt. Oh gosh, you can do all kinds of stuff. And you can also use your plain yogurt to make like tzatziki sauce or some homemade ranch or whatever. So, cheese. Here we go again. Organic cheese is going to be your best option. So, if you can't get these things organic, it is okay. Again, like I said, it's going to be the best option. But I understand that these aren't always available in every location. And when you buy cheese, you want to buy blocks of cheese, not pre-shredded cheese, because pre-shredded cheese has fillers and cornstarch added, and we don't want that. All right, moving on to meat. So for fish, you want to buy wild-caught fish. Farm-raised fish are fed corn and soy, which makes them really nutrient poor, and it's a very inflammatory diet for the fish. So when our food is eating inflammatory food, and then we eat that food, we are eating the inflammatory fats that the food ate the food of. So, if that makes any sense. So it doesn't just stop, like if these fish are eating corn and soy and they're eating this inflammatory diet, it doesn't just stop there, because now we're eating them. So we want to buy wild-caught fish, not farm-raised. They're also fed lots of antibiotics when they're farm-raised so they don't get sick. And we are ingesting this when we eat them. Same thing with beef. You really want to only be buying grass-fed beef. Not only is it going to taste better and be a higher quality, the meat is just, you're going to notice a huge difference. And it's not going to have these harmful additives in it. Again, these farmed cattle are fed corn and soy, which makes them very nutrient poor, and it's an inflammatory diet. And these cattle are also given huge amounts of antibiotics and growth hormones, which, like I said earlier, disrupts our own hormones, especially if you have young children. This is something that very sadly is happening in a lot of young girls. They are starting their periods very, very early because, their weight. Your weight has a lot to do with it once you reach a certain body fat percentage, but also all these added hormones from our food are just wreaking havoc on these young girls, and it's very, very sad. Chicken. So here's the thing about chicken is lots of chicken likes to be labeled as natural, all natural, 100% natural. And that doesn't really mean a whole lot. Like I said, any company can put that on there as long as there's no added colors or artificial colors or additives. And I don't know anybody that's dyeing their chicken meat out there, so they all like to put 100% natural on it. You want to buy chicken that's labeled as hormone and antibiotic free. If you can get organic chicken, again, that's going to be your best option because they're going to have access to outdoors and they're only fed organic food. And these chickens are also not given antibiotics or, genetically modified ingredients. But when you're buying chicken, just make sure that it's hormone and antibiotic free and you'll be good to go. Okay, sweeteners. So when we're buying sweeteners, we want to use natural ingredients. I know you're thinking maybe like I can just buy the organic raw cane sugar. I wouldn't do that because that is going to spike your blood sugar, and cane sugar is not going to be your best option. What you do want to buy instead is going to be coconut sugar. Use raw honey, maple syrup, and I don't mean like Mrs. Buttersworth. I mean like real maple syrup from maple trees or monk fruit. You can also use stevia, but when you're buying stevia, be careful. They like to put other things in there. So again, make sure you're just flipping that over. Pick something up off the shelf and be like, Victoria said this was good. I'm just going to flip it over and double check and make sure nobody added anything in here because they are sneaky motherfuckers. And you look at it and you're like, oh, stevia, oh, dextrose, what in the hell? Yeah, put that one back, get the one next to it, and make sure it just says stevia. Easy as that. All right, nut butters. peanut butter, almond butter, sunflower butter, whatever kind of butter you like, organic, raw, and only containing one ingredient. Best option. And they can add salt. So the peanut butter that I usually buy, I just get it from Walmart. They've got an organic peanut butter and it has one ingredient, peanuts. And sometimes I get the one that has salt added. That's it. Super simple. You don't want soybean oil. You don't want canola oil. You don't want palm oil. One ingredient. Bread. Okay, so most prepackaged breads contain soy or canola or preservatives or blah, 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 all this added crap. We want to look for organic bread that has no added sugars and no harmful oils. I personally like Ezekiel bread because it is sprouted grain, and you're going to find that in the freezer section because it will mold because it doesn't have preservatives or anything in it. So yeah, look at your bread. Again, organic is going to be your best option because it's not treated with pesticides and glyphosate, and we really want to protect all of those good bacteria in our microbiome. Teas and coffees. Okay, so unfortunately conventional teas and coffee beans are sprayed with pesticides, and sometimes they like to add flavors and sweeteners in there without advertising it on the front because why would they do that? Then we wouldn't want to buy it. So instead, just buy only certified organic tea and coffee. My favorite is Yogi tea. They have oh my God, they have so many different kinds of teas. And oh, they're so good. And they're organic. And if they do add sweeteners in it, it is stevia leaf. And it is pure stevia leaf, nothing else. Ice cream. I don't know why we didn't go over this with the dairy part. I don't know why I put this down here. Anyways, so most ice cream you get from the store is going to contain high fructose corn syrup, carrageenan, and polysorbate 80. Polysorbate 80 is something I have a huge issue with because it is in all your personal care products, and then they go over and put it in your food. This is a really, really bad preservative. It's one of the worst ones in my personal opinion. I avoid it at all costs. And yeah, they love to put it in ice cream. They also, if you're buying cream, please buy organic cream. Because if you don't, look on the side, it probably has polysorbate 80 in it. I don't know why they do this. I guess they want it to have a longer shelf life. But that's something you really don't want to put in your body. These also contain artificial coloring and flavors. So instead, if you are going to buy ice cream, try to buy organic ice cream or ice cream that does not have high fructose corn syrup, no added flavorings, no artificial colors, and 100% real ingredients. Nothing that came from a lab. If you can't pronounce it, if it's a word that looks like a scientist came up with it, just put it back. Just be like, no, I don't know what that is. And I don't have time to fucking Google it, so Victoria told me to put it back. And you'll be better off for it. All right, chocolate and candy. Of course you should limit your candy and chocolate consumption. But there's better options out there than Reese's or Snickers or whatever. You're gonna want to avoid anything with TBHQ and BHT. These are banned in other countries because they're linked to cancer, asthma, and dermatitis, eczema, all kinds of other problems. On my last episode going over candy and chocolate, I was telling you guys that I like the Justin's peanut butter cups because they're almost the exact same price as Reese's and they don't have any of that stuff in them. And they have dark chocolate, which, oh my God, so freaking good. So if you like Reese's, try Justin's or another peanut butter cup that's similar that doesn't have TBHQ, BHT, or other nasty, nasty stuff in it. So when we're buying chocolate and candy, we want to find some that's organic if we can. If not, again, it's okay. Just avoid artificial colors, artificial flavorings, and preservatives. All right, so the last thing we're going to go over today is going to be the most important part of this podcast. I am going to teach you how to properly read the amount of sugar on a food label. And you're thinking, what? Doesn't it have sugar labeled on the food label? It does. However, These labels were designed to deceive you on purpose. So when labeling laws were designed, the FDA actually wanted you to know how much sugar was in the product. Whether it was like sugar like we know it, table sugar, other forms of sugar like starches. And these guys were like, hey, yeah, the head of the FDA was like, we're going to put the sugar on the label. That was the case. Manufacturers did not want you to know that. And they didn't want you to know it so bad that they went to the President of the United States and wanted the head of the FDA fired because this man was trying to put the actual amount of sugar on the labels. And these guys were like, if people know how much sugar's in this, they're not going to buy our products, they're not going to buy our food, and we're going to go out of business or lose a ton of money. So they literally freaked out, went to the president, and were like, hey. So unfortunately, the FDA had to take a step back and work with the food manufacturers to make this super deceiving label, which is very sad. And now people don't know how to read it, unfortunately, because they did it on purpose. It's not our fault. A deal was made that if you had one or more sugar molecules bonded together as a starch, you could list it under carbohydrates, and then underneath that you would see fiber. Now, in general, these fibers are fibers that you can't digest. Soluble fibers count as well as insoluble fiber. And then below that, they were supposed to show the available sugar, but they didn't. So most manufacturers have manipulated the system so that there's very little sugar that appears on the label, even though most of that product is in fact sugar. So how are we supposed to know how much sugar is in the product if they make it almost impossible to tell on purpose? All we have to do is a little simple math. And when I say simple, I mean extremely simple. I hate math, and I do this. So I know that you can do it because you guys are all super, super smart. So all you have to do is look at the total carbohydrate section, look underneath that at the dietary fiber, subtract the dietary fiber from the total carbohydrates, and you are left with the total amount of sugar. Go pick something in your tablet and try it right now. Pick it up, look where it says total carbs, look where it says dietary fiber, subtract the two, and you're left with the sugar. And I can almost guarantee you that that number is going to be different than where it says total sugars on that label, because they are lying to you. So it's very sad, but now you know how to read this and you're not going to be taken advantage of anymore at all. So this is my most important tip to you. If you do nothing else from this podcast that I have given you today, do this. Sugar is not your friend. It makes you tired. It makes you fat. And it ages you like crazy. Sugar is not your friend. But now you know how to read that, and you're not going to let these people take advantage of you. And you know what to look for on packaging to be like, oh, hey, that seems a little bit suspicious. So as always, thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I really, really do appreciate each and every one of you wonderful people. Don't forget to check out my handmade all-natural personal care products that are now available on my website. And since you guys are absolutely amazing, I want to give you 10% off your order. Not just your first order, every order. All the orders, anytime you order, you can get 10% off. All you have to do is go to victoriaraycoaching.com/shop and enter the discount code Becoming Natural as one word at checkout. Everything on there is made using only the highest quality and natural ingredients. Nothing toxic, nothing artificial. You're better than that, and you deserve better than that. So that's why there's none of that crap in any of my products. So until next time, my friends, I want you to go out there, go to the grocery store and fucking crush it next time, because now you're a genius and you know how to shop properly and not be taken advantage of by these food companies. So go out there, do that, crush it, and have yourself a great freaking day.